Hello, everyone. My name is Jaybird, and welcome back to AIRIS. Without any further ado, let's get right back to where we left off last time. Right there. Teddy and I enter the guild hall nonchalantly, only to see commotion coming from a crowd of at least a dozen people near the back of the room. I see Evra amidst them. Her eyes dart my way momentarily and lighten in recognition, but she soon disappears back into the sea of people without so much as a wave. Confused, Teddy and I approach them. What's going on, guys? The murmurs die down when my guildmates notice me, as their bodies turn slightly in Teddy in my direction. Teddy in my direction. What the fuck? No, that's bad grammar. Bad. Their eyes dart to and from each other as if they're waiting for someone else to speak. Oh. Oh no. What happened? Who died? With a sigh and a shake of her head, Ever speaks up quietly. She's fine. Worried guildmate. How do you know, though? I'd ask her a question about any of the times we've spent together, but how am I supposed to know which of those memories we shared with the real Alia and which weren't? I told you guys, I can tell. The girl next to us is Alia. Almost immediately, a guildmate I've seen hanging out with Lyle a few times crosses her arms and interjects. Echidna? Is her name fucking Echidna? You know, only one echidna that I can think of right now. Fucking Knuckles the echidna. And Gundin Knuckles. Do you know the way? And we're telling you that's not enough. You need to start explaining to us how you can tell. We can't just believe what you're saying is true. Let me give her a obnoxious voice, actually.
We can't just believe...
No, that's Teddy. We can't just believe what you're saying is true when you've provided no evidence to back up your claims. I bristle at the guild members lashing out at her. Whoa, why are you treating Ever like this? In case you've forgotten, she's a much higher rank than most of the rest of us, and she holds that title for a reason. Who cares about her title? We don't even know whether or not it was really her who earned it. What?
What are you guys on? Of course it was really her. Are you trying to say that some evil twin of hers appears sporadically from thin air just to fight her battles for her?
Annoyed guildmate. The truth is even more bizarre than that, but that doesn't make it any less true. Teddy flails around her arms as she fumes.
What truth are you talking about?
Teddy's growls go ignored as Echidna jabs a finger at Evera, her face twisted into a vicious scowl. Your friend here has known all along that we're being controlled by some people from another realm or whatever. Every single one of us in the guild. If the spells on our minds haven't begun to fade and we were smart enough to figure out something isn't right, we'd probably be kept in the dark forever. Why would Evera know in advance? My weak attempt at lying to protect Evera from the Echidna's wrath! From the Echidna! Oh god, it is Knuckles. Wrath fails immediately. Don't try to defend her! Earlier when we were having an emergency meeting, she already accidentally let it slip that she has always known. She just decided not to tell us. Probably because she's colluding with the other realm, selling her freedom and dignity for some medals that she doesn't deserve. My hackles rising at Echidna's insults. I step forward, intent on defending Evera's honor, but I pause at Evera's small jerk of her head. Instead, Evera lifts her sword, still in its scabbard, and pricks Echidna in the chest with it while rolling her eyes. Why don't you fight me then? Test my strength since you doubt it? I assure you that I can end the battle in 5 seconds flat. Or are you too scared? With another sigh, Everest shakes her head and steps back. Never mind. I don't blame you for freaking out. I think all of us are on edge, and that's justified. An angry guildmate spits at the ground and reaches out to shove Everett back. She easily manages to evade despite the crowd around her, but I see her tense up. You should have... For the last time, I'm sorry I never told you guys anything beforehand, but you guys need to understand that nobody would have understood me even if I'd tried. Do you really think that whatever it is that caused the lack of awareness about the possessions in the first place wouldn't have affected the things we said to each other too? Use that pretty little head of yours to think for once. The guildmate sneers, but from the way she doesn't respond, it's clear she agrees with Evra's words. Now, we really ought to explain to Alia... I can't talk! Sorry, I know I keep doing a lot, but I do that every time I fucking mess up. Sorry. Now, we really ought to explain to Alia what's going on instead of treating her like some criminal. Wouldn't you guys agree? You guys can see for yourselves when your treatments or whatever progress some more, but for now, I believe me when I say the Alia in front of us is the Alia we've been allies with for years. The guild members nod, and they all look towards me again. I shrink under their combined gazes, feeling uncomfortable with the attention. I take a deep breath and look up at everyone around me as Everett tilts her head and frowns as she thinks, probably wondering how best to explain to me what's going on. Even before she says a thing, however, I think I understand the gist of it, just from the angry conversation I've overheard. For whatever reason, all the guild members' filters regarding the Earthlings have begun to weaken too. Though, to what extent? How much do they know about the Earthlings and their control on us, and how much have they guessed? How much has Everett told them? If they haven't tied Everett to a wooden post to burn her to death yet, I assume they are still unable to see glowing gems as an indication of the player status, just like how I was when I was first able to understand Everett's mutterings, but nothing more. An infinite number of an infinite number of questions filled my mind, but I suspect few, if any, of my questions will be resolved here, especially considering the fact that many of the guildmates seem antagonistic towards Evra for not having revealed enough. Why now? Why was my filter damaged so much earlier than theirs, and why has everyone else's filters become damaged at around the same time? How did the filters get damaged in the first place? Is the treatment airborne or something in our water, or what? Well, being lost in my thoughts won't achieve anything, although I can't help but feel a bit peeved at that Everest, and my worries over whether or not to tell our guildmates what was going on has turned out to be pointless. I opened my mouth to speak up, only to have Evra immediately notice and glare daggers at me as if to quiet me. It takes me a moment to understand why. The guildmates have been hounding Evra for not telling them enough, for not having said something earlier, for her words being unbelievable. And if I admit that my filter was damaged earlier than theirs, and that I, too, have been aware of the Earthlings' attempts at controlling the natives of AIRIS, I'll become the next target. This is especially likely considering the fact that I probably make a much easier victim than Evra, one of the greatest warriors we have. Evra's probably trying to shield me from that. Oh my god, seriously? Should I admit to having known about the possessions for some time or not? Everything I do, I don't want Evra to shoulder all the blame. I'm just gonna stay silent for now. Shaking my head, I decide to go with the flow and keep the truth a secret for now. Evra has much more context than I do about what's going on, so if she's decided it's best to keep my awareness a secret, I should oblige her. The thought, however, is depressingly short-lived. An outburst from one of the guildmates closest to me makes my decision mute. minute, Alio! You were asking about blackouts a few months ago. That was you, wasn't it? What? Yeah, that was definitely you. From the corner of her eye, I see Evra slap her forehead in frustration. Wincing, I reach out to give her hand a hopefully reassuring squeeze. Oh, so you've known all this time too, haven't you? And you're not even high-ranking like Evra is. How did you get to know everything before the rest of us?
Don't talk to Alia like that, you jerk face.
Really, you should stop speaking before I decide to duel you. Are you threatening me? I'm trying to convince you guys that it's better to discuss everything calmly than to fight over every little thing and keep wasting time. How much does everyone know so far? Much less than we'd know if some people had spoken to us in advance. Enough. I've already gone over this 100 or so times, and if you guys won't listen to me, I see no point in discussing anything with you guys further. Then retying her ponytail as if to give her hands something to do, Ever turns towards me. I've told them everything. Everything? I frown, wondering how much that word encompasses. Surely Ever couldn't have told them that she's actually a controller. If that were the case, she'd be in way more trouble than she is now. A guildmate speaks up before Ever can, answering the question for her. So far, we basically know that there's some group of people in another dimension who basically control us vassals for fun, and that pretty much everyone who isn't us is in on this whole thing. Is there anything else we need to know, or can we please get around to discussing what we should do about it? What we should do about it? What we should do about it? In case you haven't noticed, after trailing along with us for the past few hours, we're flat out of options. None of the villagers will tell us anything. Only two of us can even remember making the deal in the first place, and it's not like we can storm into the castle and demand the king for an answer. Why can't we? What? It takes me a second to realize that the person who blurted out those daring words was me, and I immediately widen my eyes and gasp and clasp over my mouth with the palm of my hand. However, now that I've already spoken, I realize how true my words are. Or maybe I only think that way because I feel too self-conscious to go back on them. No matter what, I want to understand what's going on. If talking to the king's the only way for that to happen, that's what I want to do. Everyone turns towards me, gaping like fish, even Evra. I flush yet again under their attention, regretting ever having spoken in the first place. Aelia, I doubt it'll be easy to gain an audience with the king, and even if we could, how can we guarantee that he'll tell us anything? I know a way to sneak in. Getting close to him should be the easiest part. Mother of souls, what? When did you figure out how to sneak into the castle of all things? It was, around when I was first starting to get blackouts. I wanted to know more about what was going on, and I figured if anyone knew anything, it'd be the king, so I snuck in. In reality, it was shortly after Ever told me the truth, but that's not something I can tell them. Someone in the crowd gives me a blow whistle at my words. Well, that solves it. Let's go as soon as possible. She was caught and imprisoned. Evra's rebuttal is spoken as a grumble under her breath, but despite how quietly she speaks, everyone hears her and stops to mumble amongst themselves yet again. I nudge and side-eye her. Evra, you didn't need to say that. I want everything explained and settled as much as you do, Aelia, but I don't want you risking your life for it. It's true I managed to get you out of trouble last time, but we don't know if that can happen again for a repeat offense, and it'll definitely be harder for me to do anything if I'm involved in the mess. I was imprisoned because I was sneaking around. If all of us head directly to the throne room and request an audience with the king, I'm sure the king will either kick us out or listen to us speak. Either way, we won't be endangered. I don't know. With a pleading smile, I nudge Ever one more time. Though our guildmates may have been hounding her for information and explanations earlier, she's still one of the most respected, powerful warriors we know. If she agrees to the plan, so will almost everyone else here, even if they might whine about it the whole time. I have no idea whether or not this haphazard plan has any chance of working out or revealing anything we don't already know, but it's worth a try. It's the only potential avenue we have open to us for now, and I refuse to give up without more answers than we have. As if sensing my distress and desperation, Teddy chimes in, her lips puckered to a pout that makes her look more like a duck than a bear.
Pretty please, Evera, with cherries on top? If you refuse, I'll force feed you alias cooking every day for at least 3 months.
That's kinky. Ew. 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 Gross. Excuse me? I'm about to refuse the insult and the suggestion, but after a glance towards Evra, I think better of it. From the contorted expression on her face, it's clear she's trying her hardest to stop a giggle from forming. She hesitates, then sighs. Fine. I guess it's time to finally see how far my name and reputation will carry me. And well, since the king should be able to tell. Immediately, my expression shifts into a proud grin. Thanks. Now convince everyone else for me. Anything's fine with me as long as we get answers. I don't like being in the dark like this, not when it's about control over my own body. We've been listening the whole time, Aelia. Don't treat us like we haven't been here. If we get in trouble, at least I'll be able to brag about how I went down fighting it besides Evera. I think the idea is outlandish, but I'm not going to be the coward who backs out. One by one, more and more guildmates chime in with affirmations, and I exhale in quiet relief. Thank the Mother of Souls. Let's go then. Wait, right now? Are you really willing to wait another mother knows how long month? Are you really willing? Are you really willing to wait for mother knows how long? It's not like approaching the king's going to get any easier by waiting, and for all we know, the situation might end up worse as time goes on. I want to dispute her words, but I can't. She's right. I want to dispute her words, but I can't understand what she's saying, but I assume she's right. Now, if only she said her words a little more, if she only said her words a little more, with more dictation, it'd be easier to understand. Now, if only she said her words a little more nicely so that I wouldn't feel so irritated about agreeing with her. Are you going to take us there, or do we have to drag you? Don't treat her like that. Treat her like what, a person? You know exactly what I mean. If you keep trying to pick a fight with us, it's fine, Evra. Let's go. I'm ready if you are. Evra hesitates, then gives a curt nod. Yeah, let's go. Oh, shit. Okay. Here's a little game theory just for a second. I don't know if I ever said this or not, but I'm gonna say it again anyways. So since this is a game, obviously, are we the person possessing Aelia when we load up the game? Are we the people possessing her? Because I guess that's true already. I'm gonna guess that's I guess that's already true at this point, basically. I mean, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, back to the game. I think I want to make this episode long. Sorry for making a pause in here, but I want to record for just a little bit longer. So, because I'm interested. I want this to be a long episode. Anyways. Sorry. Okay. As predicted, infiltrating the throne room is the easiest part. The royal guards sprung into action as soon as we bypassed the front gates of the castle, but they instantly realized that would be no match. They would be no match for us seasoned, immortal warriors. After a tense standoff, we finally came to a compromise. Aside from a couple of the highest-ranked guild members, including Evra, the rest of us would leave our weapons with the guards before entering the throne room to speak with the king, with royal guards lining every inch of the room. I didn't point out that if we wanted to assassinate the king, we wouldn't need our weapons to do so. Still, the king and the guards have grown lazy over centuries of peace and adoration from the commoners, which is certainly to our benefit right now. However, our formation falls apart as soon as we enter, and the plans we discussed while getting here are all but forgotten. If only Ever were here. If only Ever were with us. Ever were with us, things may be different. But she insisted on staying outside of the throne room. To stand guard, she said, but I knew better. She's afraid the king will reveal to the guild that she's a player, since we both know the king will be able to tell instantly from her glowing brooch. To everyone's surprise, the king's foremost reaction to our barrage of poorly thought out, poorly worded questions is a deep, dirty grumble of a laugh, more amused than anything. Although there's an undercurrent of steel to it. I forgot the voice I gave him already. The first thing I must say is that while I am in a generous mood tonight and will turn a blind eye to this great offense, I will not permit any further transgressions. He glances towards me, and his lips curve up into a sneer so short-lived that I questioned if I really saw it. Though for some of you, this is a repeat visit. I understand the reason, however, so I will let it slide. The next thing I must say is that I can only answer one question at a time. Stand before me in a line and ask me a question or two as the turn approaches. Our guildmates nod and try to shuffle into a line, but even this turns out to be a struggle as a group of people try vainly to compete for the first couple spots in the line in the few seconds they have. I resist the urge to slap myself on the forehead. Mother of souls, it's a good thing we're here to seek counsel from the king rather than to offend or retaliate against him. For now, anyway. If we'd come here to attempt a full-scale riot or something, I'd fear we'd have wimped out in the first 5 seconds flat. I can't tell whether I should be impressed or terrified that the group of warriors here, who have seen show incredible cooperation, bravery, and judgment in battle against fearsome beasts, struggle so fantastically against a single king. Seeing us fumble round haphazardly, the king pinches the bridge of his nose and sighs audibly. Yeah, same here. I forgot that. From the snippets of questions I heard initially, I think I know the gist of what you're asking about anyway. I'm sure some people may be able to describe you, as determined and curious, but I fear most would consider you impatient and foolish instead. If you all had only waited a few days, you'd have heard of an official decree from me explaining the gist of the circumstances with having come on the trouble. I can't talk. I'm like relaxing my facial muscles just to talk as the king. That's probably a lie, and it's clear from the restless motion from the guildmates beside me that it's a shared suspicion, but I shake my head at them to discourage them from saying anything more rash. Forcing a polite smile onto my face, I speak up in an apologetic voice. We had no way of knowing that things wouldn't just get worse during that time period, Your Majesty. Yes, I suppose it would have been preferable for me to have rushed, but I have had quite a bit on my plate, considering who I am and what conflicts I had to deal with. The king's eyes linger on me, and I find myself subconsciously standing straighter, biting my lip in nervousness. You. I jolt in surprise when I realize King Leo was referring to me, and my nerves grow. Mother of souls, what does he want from me now?
Why don't you act as your little group's representative? Mother knows someone needs to take up the position, or this little parley of ours will never end. How much do you know, and how much have you told them? Also, how much more do you wish to know?
We, a group composed solely of the people of AIRIS. The king raises his brows at that, glancing towards the door as though he knows a certain player is standing outside, but he doesn't interject when I hurry on. We know that there are outside alien forces who are occasionally able to control us vassals, and we know that we all agreed to this a long time ago, although we can't remember doing so. We know also that everyone else seems to be in on this. We would like to learn why our filters have been failing. First off, do we have anything to fear? The king chuckles to himself at my declaration and questions. It takes everything in me not to shrink back, feeling foolish before him for some reason.
You? Fear? That quite depends, does it not? Well, the Earthlings, the aliens as you called them, have been eagerly trying to make the conscience overrides permanent so that they can control us forever and seize our lands from us in the process. In short, they wish to murder us and seize our bodies from us for their own selfish gains.
There's a series of confused gasps and murmurs from the crowd of warriors and mages listening attentively. I can hardly hide my shock and confusion as well. But that's
logical, don't you think? If your rulers would refuse a chance to easily overtake a new dimension, especially one filled with magic and mystical creatures, feral as they may temporarily be.
But that's... The king waves his hand nonchalantly, interrupting my sputtering.
It's the truth. Your belief matters little to me. I know it's true, and as your lord and ruler, I will pledge my life to ensuring their plans never succeed. Your filters have weakened as a result of my own machinations.
I don't know how to say that.
They are a temporary measure to help you vassals fend off the invasions of the Earthlings, though is yet incomplete.
Temporarily?
The government of the other world already knows too much of our people and ways to control us via the magic system we have incorporated together. It would be impossible to permanently shut off their access to AIRIS and aliens without also cutting off our access to them.
Why is that not a possibility then, Your Majesty? Why do you have no wishes to end the tie between the worlds permanently? I winced at the crack in my voice at the thought of how Evera would lose her access to AIRIS, her second home, if the king really did decide to sever the tie between the two worlds. The king's eyebrows quirk up, and I'm kind of impressed by the amount of disdain he manages to fit into the smile that plays on his lips.
Isn't the answer obvious? AIRIS has been plagued by beasts. We'll need a place to evacuate to if worst comes to worse.
But we've done just fine so far in pushing them back, and you're essentially risking our lives for some futile endeavor.
Silence!
The authority and strength in his voice causes me to flinch back without another peep.
I wish to give you some degree of freedom in speaking to me, but you must not forget who you are and who I am. Do not dare to question my decisions.
The queen! What the fuck is that? What's a queen? The queen. I keep saying queen, cause I see king and squeeze, and I'm like queen. The king squeezes his eyes shut and presses at his forehead, and his shoulders slumped. The weariness of his position makes him look twice his already old age.
You know nothing of the world, Waya. Do not pretend to understand. Yes, I will gladly sacrifice almost all the vassals we have if it means I can protect AIRIS as a whole. This nation is mine, and it will remain, and mine it will remain.
This mailbox is mine, and this triagonal sign. This blue balloon,
the month of June. They're mine, 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 mine. Sorry, that was a dank meme. Sorry.
The Earthlings will learn what it means to attempt to take advantage of us in our time of need.
His words are endearing. I don't know how to say that. Endearing at best, but it's clear he's not telling us the whole truth. Whatever the truth is, it's unlikely we'll hear anything more from him. What little of the truth we seem to have heard, though, is nothing flattering. What world is there to protect without its people? Does he want to remain in power even at the expense of the individuals who give it to power give meaning to power in the first place? If he truly just seeks vengeance, why towards the Earthlings? Though they may intend to, they have done little to nothing yet that the king has not personally approved, even assisted in. Would he really sacrifice us without a blink of his eye if it comes down to it? All our eyes dart to and from each other, narrowed into slits as we tried to process his words. As though sensing our trains of thought, King Leo speaks up again, making sure to crush the seed of defiance that he had just sowed.
I do not expect you warriors to understand the difficult decisions a ruler has to make, but try to grasp at least this. I do not make meaningless sacrifices, nor do I sacrifice the unwilling. Every single one of you here before me has sworn loyalty to me at the cost of your own life. Before being recruited into the guild, every one of you have been told of what joining would entail, becoming a vessel for the Earthling's consciousness, with your memories of the recruitment being wiped away from your minds. You all agreed.
The king's lips curl into a slow smile at the stunned silence in the room.
I greatly admire and value every one of you for your bravery and selflessness. Our country would not be here still if it not for each one of you. You are the protectors of AIRIS' future.
While some of the guild members straighten their backs proudly at the king's praise, the rest of us can only close our eyes in dread, knowing the threat that is coming. As expected, the king's smile twists, turning almost cruel.
Certainly you do not intend to go back on your vow of honor now, do you?
I can sense every guild member in the room collectively hold their breaths as they think over the king's words. Afraid that one of the more hot-headed warriors might lose their tempers and say something they cannot take back, I hurriedly step forward, swallowing my pride and bowing my head at him. I have to do this, no matter how unwilling I am to let these words pass through my mouth. We cannot cross him, not here, not now. Of course not, your majesty. It is our honor and pleasure to serve the country, no matter what it takes.
Let us hope it stays this way, my beloved warriors.
King Leo pauses, shaking his head and clucking his tongue at us.
Really though. All of this will be common knowledge in only a few days. There was no reason to sneak into the castle. Is that all, or shall I answer some more questions? I doubt there is anything for me to add to what I've already revealed, but if any of you would like to ask more questions, I will keep them in mind for future potential conversations and speeches.
Nobody responds to that, though I see more than a handful of people tensing up, like rabbits sensing the first hints of danger. In unison, we begin to turn around, streaming towards the exit under an unspoken, unanimous agreement. As we push the doors open, this king suddenly raises his voice again, stopping us in our tracks.
Warrior Evera, I know you're outside the room. Would you like to come in and speak with me, alone? It fascinates me that someone of your status has agreed to a plan so reckless.
Immediately, I realize the subtext behind his words. He wants to ask her why she got involved and why she's technically a player. He wants to ask her why she got involved when she's technically a player. With a gulp, I thank the Mother of Souls that the king was generous enough not to reveal Evera's identity outright to those around us. Yet from the cocksure way he draws drawls his words, I can't help but suspect that he just wants to either save the information until a more beneficial moment, or to leverage it against Everett to bend her to his will. Perhaps I'm being too pessimistic. In any case, though I know the king has no reason to harm Ever, I can't stand the thought of leaving her alone with him. Let things be, I shouldn't offend the king. Request to stay behind with Evra. Try to find a way for Ever to leave without speaking to the king. Let's see. Let's request to stay behind with Evra. Your Majesty, could I stay behind with her? She'll no doubt tell me everything about your conversations afterwards anyway, so... Ever flashes me a quick, grateful smile, which transforms into a venomous glare as soon as she realizes that I've potentially endangered myself as a result. Exactly what she hates me doing. If it weren't for our circumstances, I'd probably grin at her and tell her to stop looking so happy, even while glaring, if she wants me to take her lectures to heart. The king laughs once more, but not with humor.
Of course not. If you think you have a choice in the matter, you're far greater than a fool that I already thought you were.
Evra's nod is so tiny that it's barely noticeable, and I see her bottom lip trembling, and I have to clench my hand into my fist by my side to resist reaching out to draw her into a comforting hug and protect her from the king. I exhale through a narrow slit in my closed lips. Good luck. See you later, Evra. I give her hand a tight squeeze before bowing to the king with the rest of our guildmates and leaving the throne room through the main exits. Nobody stops us on the way out. I didn't expect to be suddenly accosted by guards or anything, but I still find myself pleasantly surprised. I can only hope Evra will be allowed to return home this easily as well. Oh, well, seems she did. I told you guys it was going to be a long episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode of AIRIS, leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!